is to use frost armor to make the fiends take forever to die. Well, it doesn't make fiends get eaten any slower by Kodos, so it's actually kind of a nice little soft counter to the strategy that Zacard's doing. And he's also getting some bats and some headhunters to help him deal with the destroyers that he knows are very, very likely coming. Anyway, one of the things that, as well as Zacard has done in this game, like if you look at the supply, he's actually got a bigger army than Lucifer. Part of the reason that he was able to make a bigger army in the first place is that he actually stays at tier 2, I think, this entire game. Yeah, if you look at his base, he's still at tier 2. That's one of the reasons that Orc are able to build up such an overwhelmingly large group of units at tier 2, is because they stay at tier 2, whereas Undead has to invest the money to get up to tier 3. So when it sometimes, like if you look at the supplies in the game, so far Zacard has had a lot more supply through pretty much tier 2 on than Lucifer has had. But to some extent that advantage is an illusion, because more of Lucifer's money was tied up in tech. Anyway, Lucifer banked his way up. That's one of the advantages that you have. The Orc is almost definitely going to build their army over 50 supply, because they basically want to bully you around and force an expansion up. So if you manage to sneak in there and cancel the expansion and then bank by keeping your army under 50 supply for a while, Lucifer has actually stopped banking. He's exceeding 50 supply at this point. But if you manage to bank for a while, that's going to give you actually a pretty big economic advantage against the Orc player. So I cannot stress how important it is to get that expansion canceled. So any clever way that you can come up with, like distracting his army or scouting where he is and sneaking around him, like anything like that, just really dedicate yourself to canceling that expansion. The only exception, I would say, is if he actually just sits there with his entire army and defends that expansion while it builds. In that case, you're probably not going to be able to stop it from getting up, but you will want to go ahead and creep and power yourself up and get yourself a good hero level advantage, because then you're going to be able to nuke the crap out of his Farseer and just about everything. So that's something to watch out for. Like, I don't think you're going to see too many pro players do something like that, but if you are like just playing in a ladder, you probably will see people that won't try to expand at all with Orcs. So if that's the case, just be patient, keep an eye on them, kind of power up your heroes. Anyway, you know how I mentioned Lucifer managed to secure an economic advantage by banking? Let's look at the supplies now. Lucifer's actually got a whole hell of a lot. He's got like 10 supply more than Zacard at this point, and that really is because of those expansion cancels, combined with the fact that Zacard broke 50 supply to try and bully Lucifer into letting him get that expansion up. Another thing that Lucifer did that was real sharp is that while he was killing off that expansion, he turned off the Orb of Destruction on his destroyers. While the mana does count down on destroyers and you lose it over time, you can hang on to it for a little while. So it's really a good idea to go ahead and like take down the easy buildings and stuff, unless you're trying to deal with a whole lot of towers. Just go ahead and turn Orb of Destruction off, because odds are his army will come running in like right after you blow all your mana, and then you're not going to get to kill his army horribly. I think Lucifer you notice he turned it back on there. I think he kind of gave up on the idea of Zacard ever actually trying to fight with him directly, so he was like, okay, I can't sit there and let all my mana get blown here. Okay, now this, you're going Fiends and Destroyers against Bats. This is a very, very micro-intensive strategy. Notice Lucifer actually loses, like, I think 2 Fiends just getting himself into a decent position. Like, he kept backing off, refusing to let Zacard fly his bats in and hit the destroyers. So you really have to keep the Fiends in front of the destroyers, and you have to keep you also have to keep backing the Fiends off, because you don't want the Fiends tanking all the damage from his army. So it's a pretty intense thing. I don't let that discourage you and make you feel like it's, you know, impossible and like for pros only. It's just one of those things where if you're aware of the fact that it's going to be difficult, just like kind of put some intensity into it and realize that you're going to have to micro hard in this situation. You know, just keep backing your fiends off, keeping your destroyers behind the fiends, and really eventually you will prevail, because you're going to get like a web on some of the bats or something like that. And you know, if nothing else, if you've managed to get yourself in a good enough position, like Lucifer has, even if he does chase you halfway across the map, you've managed to secure a bigger army for yourself, and you can do things like bring in ghouls for reinforcement, or just whatever you need to do. So, like I said, just, you know, put your effort into micromanaging, and I think sometimes you will surprise yourself with, you know, the pro-like moves that you can pull off sometimes. If you just kind of sit there and attack move your units, and, you know, maybe try and run the wounded one back occasionally, you're going to have a very hard time if you try to use this sort of strategy against Orc. And once again, if you are not a micro person, you will probably do a bit better if you try to go like the magic route. Either try Crypt Lord first, or you can still go Death Knight first, but like once you get to tier 2, go for that sweet style Banshee army and get a Pit Lord. Pit Lord is especially useful against Wyverns, which you didn't see in this game, so I think that means I'm officially off the topic. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm going to be using Muse for the intro and exit music. They're a British band. They kind of remind me of Queen. I think they're pretty off the wall, but they, surprisingly enough, have actually been getting a good bit of radio play, at least in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I went ahead and got one of their CDs because it sounded cool, and hey, I really like it. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm sorry there's been such a gap between my last audio. I really wanted to do this game, and I sat down and looked at it, and I realized I didn't know what the hell that I was talking about, so I spent like the next week, you know, my kind of Warcraft spare time, you know, researching replays and things like that. So I think I finally did actually get a feel for what was really going on in the game. But I hope that paid off and resulted in something that you guys were able to learn something from, or at least enjoy laughing your ass off at my ineptitude. I don't think I've got any shout-outs, or if I have, I haven't been keeping track of them. Nope, doesn't look like it. So if I forgot you, just remind me again. It's nothing personal. I'm just kind of disorganized. I do try to keep track of that sort of thing. Anyway, I will be hopefully talking to you guys within the next couple of weeks. I hope you've enjoyed this audio commentary. This is Fray signing out.